What is up, everybody? It's your boy Kyle back at again with another video. Today we're going to be going over the good, the bad, the ugly of one of the only all-inclusive resorts in the entire United States, and that is the Bungalows at Key Largo. I touched on some of these things in our tour video, so if you want to go check that video out, the link will be in the description, but this is going to be focused more on the review for food, entertainment, alcohol, and just an overall experience. Also, if you noticed, this background might be a little bit blurry. Got a new camera, trying new things. Let me know in the comments if you like it or if you don't. Anyway, let's just dive right into the video. I want to give a little bit of backstory that I flew into Key West, rented a car, and then drove up to Key Largo. It was about a 3-hour drive. It was absolutely beautiful though. I wanted to see the 7 Mile Bridge. We rented a convertible, so we were able to drop the top, get some sun while we were driving, and overall it was a really cool experience. I highly recommend doing that if you are in the market to go to Key Largo. Once you arrive to the property, you're greeted by a valet who will take your car and park it if you decided to drive there. If you Ubered there, you'll just be able to go right into the check-in in the main lobby area. Check-in is super quick and easy. You do have to give them the card that you reserved the hotel with, so that is something you should definitely be cognizant of. Make sure that you bring the card with you of whatever card you used to book the hotel with, or else they might give you a problem at the desk. They mentioned that to us when we were checking in. After you're checked in, they give you a wristband that you'll be able to use to access the common areas as well as your personal bungalow. And make sure you don't lose that because it is a hefty fee of $250. After you're given your key though, you are escorted to a go-kart where you will have a personal tour guide who will drive you around in a golf cart all throughout the property. And the property is over 10 acres, so you do get to see a lot of land in a short period of time with the golf cart, which is really nice. And not to worry about the size of the property because each bungalow does come with 2 bikes, so you're able to use your bikes to get around the property. We took our bikes to morning yoga. On a side note, we'll talk about more activities as we get later into the video. But first, let's dive into one of the most important things when you're booking any vacation, and that's the food. And with food at an all-inclusive resort, I'm always a little bit skeptical. However, I do have to say the Bungalows knocked it out of the park. The food quality is insanely good. Just from top to bottom, it really is fantastic. I had surf and turf on our first night in one of the restaurants, and I have to say, even though the surf was shrimp, not lobster, the steak was cooked perfectly, like melting your mouth perfectly. It was a very good quality cut of steak, and it was super soft, super buttery. It was really just chef's kiss. They know what they're doing at Key Largo. And I have to say, the entire time I was on the property, I did not have a bad meal once. I will say you will probably have the majority of your meals at Fishtails, which is the restaurant that is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is the only restaurant open for breakfast. And it is really cool because some of the seating is out on the beach area, so you can have breakfast on the beach, which is a really nice way to wake up. They have a breakfast buffet, and they also have a menu that you can order off of for breakfast, which is really nice. So you can do some self-service if you want, or you can do a sit-down meal. Regardless, you're gonna have a waiter come and serve you your drinks or any butters or waters anyway, but you have that option to wait for the kitchen to prepare your meal, or you can just go and get some of the buffet food. I do have to say, I opted to get the buffet food 2 days out of our trip, and it was good. I love Eggs Benedict, and they cooked the Eggs Benedict perfectly. They had runny yolks in the center, and it didn't feel like it was stale sitting around for a while. I feel like they are constantly refreshing all of their offerings out in the buffet, which isn't unlike a cruise or a hotel breakfast. This was definitely one step above. If you are at Fishtails, I highly recommend you get their pizza. They have an amazing pizza oven that you see, and it is really, really good. Like if you are a follower of the channel, you know that we are from the New York, New Jersey area, and we have some pretty high standards when it comes to Italian food and pizza. And I have to say, this pizza was probably one of the best pizzas I've ever had on any vacation ever. Not including Rome, but it is very, very close to being as perfect as pizza as you can get, especially at an all-inclusive resort, without a doubt. And a side note, you can get that pizza delivered to you poolside or beachside, so it is a great snack for middle of the afternoon, hanging out under the sun. It is, they really, just go. I'm briefly gonna touch on the other restaurants. There are 5 restaurants at Bungalows in Key Largo, 4 of which are included, 1 which is not. Bogie and Bacall's is, I believe, $250 a person, but if you are staying 4 nights or longer, it is included in your stay. So that is something. The menu looks absolutely fantastic. I can pop it up on the screen right here. It is definitely an intriguing menu, but we thought the food was so good and we didn't really feel the need to pay that kind of money when we had a bunch of other dining options. Up next is Señor, which is a Mexican restaurant that is open for lunch and dinner. And I do have to say their quality is, again, really good. I had the carne asada and it was seasoned so good. The sides were plentiful. And again, it was right on the beach with nobody around us because it was lunchtime. It was an amazing experience. The waiter was super attentive, literally came over every couple of minutes, checked on us, had drinks come out to us before we even ordered them, which is another really nice thing about an all-inclusive resort is you don't really have to worry about anything, and the servers really do go above and beyond. Up next is the Sunset Tiki Bar. This is the only bar that has TVs, so you can almost call this like a sports bar, but it's outdoors. And if it is raining, they do have a plastic enclosure that goes around all the walls, so you won't get rained on. But it is like a sports bar. It definitely has a more sports bar vibe with their drink selection. It's a little bit more basic. They have a bunch of beers, and their food menu is a decent amount of like fried wings, fried avocado bites. Honestly, really, really good. I do recommend the key lime cookies. When you're in the Keys, you should always try to do like key lime pie, key lime this. The key lime cookies were really good. A little sweet if you're into that, but I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Not to mention, again, on the beach, this really does feel like you are not in the United States. It feels like you are really in the Caribbean, if not Hawaii, just with how beautiful they have this property laid out. Finally, this isn't a restaurant, but it is a bar, and it is my all-time favorite place to dine and drink. It is the Hemingway Bar. This bar is only open after 5 p.m., which is a little bit of a bummer, but I have to say their cocktails are incredible. Like, I've had custom cocktails or artisanal cocktails in the past, but this took things to another level. They had condensed lavender foam, which they would spray on top of the lavender cloud, which was literally one of the best drinks I've ever had, and I'm not even a gin fan. They also had some really unique takes on certain drinks. I'll put the menu up right here because honestly, everyone should check this menu out. It's such unique combinations for cocktails, and they all tasted fantastic. Now, I have to say, this is probably where the Bungalows probably loses money because they have an insane appetizer list. I found out how much I really like steak tartare when I was on this trip because I had it probably every night that I was there drinking at the Hemingway Bar. I ordered 2 in one night once. It was fantastic. They also have lamb lollipops, which were a decent size. And again, this is all inclusive, so you can order as many as you want, which these appetizers can become a full-blown meal if you're staying there long enough. I lost my appetite one of the days because we went there at 5, we had a dinner reservation at 6:30, and I was literally snacking that entire hour and a half while I was drinking, and I didn't even want to eat dinner. So be smarter than I was. You could definitely have a few, but don't overindulge, or do. It's your vacation. I personally do overindulge sometimes. I'm not here to be a role model. I'm just telling you my experience. They also have Hemingway sliders, which are just burgers. I didn't have them, but a couple next to us did, and they said they were fantastic. Same with their shrimp mac and cheese. I didn't have any of that, but the couple had all 4 apps, and they were just picking on them. That was like their dinner. So they said they were really good. I'm relaying that to you guys. I can't confirm or deny, but I'll let you be the judge. Let me know in the comments if you have been there and tried these things. So we kind of talked about food. Let's dive into the drinks because, well, we're just kind of talking about drinks now. Most of the liquor is included, especially some of the premium brands. If you like whiskey, they have Woodford Reserve, Angel's Envy, Buffalo Trace, all really good products. They have Grey Goose for vodka, they have Hendrick's for gin, so they do have a really good selection. However, if you don't like those, or if you want to treat yourself one day, they do have an upgraded wine and liquor offering where you can get like 1942 tequila, which is about $90 a shot for an upgrade, which is a little pricey, but again, if you're on vacation and you do want to have that, you have that opportunity to upgrade and get something that you see fit for your vacation. Every bar has a menu for things that are included, so you don't have to go try to dance around the menu, figure out what's included, what's not. They very clearly lay it out, and each bar pretty much has a signature cocktail. You can relax by the poolside, and if they don't have anything, you can just ask them to make you something. Like I asked for a pineapple mojito, which was really good, and then our waiter poolside recommended a frozen mojito. It was my first time having one, and it was to die for. They did get a little bit foamy when it started to melt in the heat, but The first couple sips were absolutely fantastic, and I think I found my new poolside drink for the rest of my life, probably. A little bit of a con for the Bungalows at Key Largo is that all bars close around 11 to 11:30, and the kitchens close at 10. So it really limits you to what you can eat afterwards. Pretty much you can only order room service after 10 o'clock, which does kind of suck because you are paying so much for this resort. Another policy that I'm not a huge fan of is that you can't bring any leftovers back to the room. During the daytime, if you ask for a pizza to go, they'll give you a box. But anything other than that, they kind of frown upon it. It's in all of their like FAQs that they don't want you to bring things back to the room. I did one day say I was completely full after eating an hour and a half of appetizers and barely touched my meal. And the waiter came over and asked if I liked it, and I told him I do. It's really good, but unfortunately, like I'm really just not that hungry today, and I wish I could take it with me. And I kind of said that like knowing that I couldn't, and he said, "Hold on one second," and he gave me like a makeshift to-go box. He put it in, boxed it up for me, wrapped it in saran wrap, which was really nice, and then gave it to me, and I took that to go back to the room with us. So there are some exceptions to the rule if your waiter is really cool. So you can maybe break the rules a little bit, but you're not supposed to bring it back to the room, which is a little unfortunate. Another thing that I didn't really like was I asked for a smaller portion for dinner one time because, again, if you're overindulging for a couple days straight, you start to not have an appetite. But I asked if I could just have a smaller portion of pasta one day, and they basically were like, "No, we don't do that here. Every portion is the portion. Don't feel bad. We kind of price it into everything, so don't feel bad. Eat whatever you can, and then whatever you can eat, no problem." Which is probably why this resort is so expensive, is because they're pricing in a bunch of food waste, which I'm not a huge fan of. I really don't like seeing that much food go to waste, especially when I was looking at other people's tables. Some would just have, you order 3-4 things to try, and each one only has a bite, which if they just make the portions a little bit smaller, or when people ask for smaller portions, if they accommodate that, I feel like that would be a better guest experience, but that's just me. One thing that is not included is tips, and I do have to say, the servers do go above and beyond in this resort, without a doubt. I think it is some of the best service that I have ever received anywhere. This really is a high-end resort, and it feels as such. The staff is trained as such, and because of that, tipping is going to fall on you. The tips are not included with your resort stay, and because of that, they do have a guideline for every meal or for every drink when you sign your receipt. Cheap people, you're gonna hate this. I am a firm believer in always taking care of the people that take care of you, especially on vacations when it is their full-time job, but it was a little bit pricey for their recommended tips. So for every meal, they do have a different equivalent, but like I said, they do have a different dollar equivalent for every meal. But for breakfast, it was around $15 to $25. For lunch, it was around $30 to $40, and then for dinner, it was around $50+. For each cocktail, depending on if it was a signature cocktail, it was anywhere from $2 to $3, which could add up if you're sitting at a bar for an hour and a half, and then you have food on top of that, which then it becomes this gray area of like, is this dinner? Is this not dinner? Am I supposed to tip $50? So again, it is pricey, especially if you think about $20 for breakfast, $30 for lunch, $50 for dinner, $2 to $3 every time you have a drink. You can be spending upwards of about $150 a day on tips, which is an expense that's not really stated when you book the vacation. Again, if you're spending this much money a night, you could probably afford it, but it is just something to be cognizant of if you are going here, especially the fact they don't take cash, so you are going to be charged to your room every time you tip. All right, let's talk about the actual facilities itself now. We talked about the food, the drink. Let's talk about the accommodations and the activities. This property is on 10 acres, as I mentioned before. However, everything is really crammed pretty much into the clubhouse area. All the restaurants in the clubhouse, the activities are pretty much on the clubhouse and on the pool and the beach area, which is all basically the same thing. It's the clubhouse with the pool behind that and the beach behind that. So everything really is in probably a couple hundred yards of the clubhouse. Everything else is just cabins and bungalows. And the activities are pretty minimal throughout the day. You have morning yoga around 8 a.m., 9 a.m., which is super relaxing, very nice to do on the beach. but it's not intense at all. If you're an actual yoga goer of every day, it's probably going to be very boring for you, but for me, it was really nice and relaxing. Then they have karaoke at nighttime. They have a DJ at nighttime some nights, but realistically, that is about it. They have things that you could rent throughout the course of the day, like if you want to do paddle boarding, they have kayaks. They have this giant like bike that you can ride in the middle of the water, which is really cool. And then there's like little floats kind of scattered throughout the bay. And yes, I said bay, which is another thing that I didn't really like. When you're in the Keys, you think of beautiful blue water, and you are on the bay, so it's not exactly as blue as you would want it to be if you were on the actual coast side in the ocean. It's a little bit more brown and it's rocky. It's not really somewhere that you would want to go in the water with. So a lot of people do usually hang out by the pool
or in the pool, and it is really unique. I have to say the pool does have underwater speakers, which is a really nice touch, so you can do laps, hear music while you're swimming underwater, which is something that is totally foreign to me. This is the first hotel or resort that I've ever stayed at that has this, and I think it's absolutely incredible.
And while we're talking about pools, let's talk about the temperature. These pools are heated and they are absolutely incredible. I usually don't go in water because I like things really warm, and these pools are super comfortable. I was able to walk right in and just start swimming immediately, which is just very, very rare for me. So that was an incredible experience. Also, the pools are 24/7. There is no lifeguards, but there is an opportunity for you to go swimming whenever you want, which is super, super, super nice. So if you want to do like a 10, 11 p.m. dip, you can, and honestly, the pools are never really that crowded on the property. One thing worth noting about the pool and beach areas are that they are serviced by two groups of people. You have servers that are just designated to the pool area and servers that are just designated to the beach area. Now, if you are able to get a seat in the beach area because all the pool area is filled, which happens very quickly, I recommend getting there early in the morning if you want a seat by the pool. But if you get a seat in the beach area, you'll have somebody taking care of you there. And then if you go to the pool area and go swimming and say order a drink while you're in the pool, you'll have a tab there. So that can lead to some problems because say that you have been there, you've been drinking and getting food in the beach area, but then you've been getting some drinks in the pool area as well. It becomes two different tabs, which means you have to tip out two different people. And because you have to wait for them to bring you a check, it does take a lot of time. Like one of the final days that we were there, it took me like 30 minutes to close out both tabs. So it's just a little inconvenient, and I feel like they should figure that out with maybe like an on-demand printing system. But that is just one of the cons that I really thought could have been fixed pretty easily. The resort is definitely catered towards couples. If you look at how the tables are set up, they're usually just two chairs overlooking the water. If you have a group of 4 or larger, they push chairs together and then add chairs or bring them from wherever they need to bring them to. But this is a primarily couples resort. It is a lot of people just hanging out, relaxing, and taking it easy than it is going hard partying. There were a couple of groups that were doing shots by the poolside, but I would say that they were definitely in the minority. And if you definitely don't want any of that, and you just want a really serene environment, you could go to the spa pool, and it is just super quiet. They have music piped in that is just music from the spa, and you know what that kind of music's like. It's very chill. And while we're talking about music, I do have to say that they do try to have a little bit of more of an upbeat music. It's like remixes of top 40. It's really good music. It's very upbeat. However, it is the same playlist every day, at least in my experience for being there for a couple of days. It was the same songs in the same order, and it drove me insane by the end of the trip. So that is something that I feel like could be an easy fix. The first couple of days I thought it was amazing, but as the days went on and it was the same thing over and over, you started to get a little sick of it. Now let's talk about the bungalows themselves because they are absolutely gorgeous. There are 2 different levels of bungalows. You could have the beachfront bungalows or just the regular ones that are kind of all connected in the sand together. Personally, even the beachfront bungalows are about a couple hundred yards from the water. So personally, I don't think it's worth it. But if you have the money and you do want to wake up with a little bit of a private beach area, I could say you could spend the extra couple $100s a day to do that, but I think a normal bungalow is fine. Each bungalow is absolutely gorgeous, super clean. They have super high vaulted ceilings, which is just really nice. It is super cozy with the seating area and a TV. And unfortunately, I was kind of hoping it would rain because I wouldn't have mind just chilling, ordering room service and enjoying the room itself. We were pretty much always out and about. At night times, we definitely cuddled up and really enjoyed the bungalow. The bed was super soft. They have some great bathrobes that are super comfortable, very plush. And then outside, there is an outdoor shower, a seating area, and a bathtub. I didn't use our shower in our room once. It was beautiful weather. It was mid to low 80s. It was perfect weather. Just go outside, bring a drink from the bar back to the room, do an outdoor shower, hop in the outdoor bathtub. Might be a little too much information for you guys, but it was so nice. The way these bungalows are designed, there are palm trees over your entire area. So you have a very, very private backyard with all of that stuff. And if you look up, you just see palm trees and the blue sky. It really was a very pretty experience. Now, I do have to say, for this price point, I expect superior quality, and they're just little details that I think the bungalows are really faltering on. For example, the bike is pretty rusted, and when I went to go put a drink in the drink holder, the bottom gave out and just the drink fell on the ground. So it's just certain things that aren't being maintained, but they're small things. If you go to any of the restaurants or any of the common areas, everything is spotless, super clean, really well kept. It was just those little things. Another drawback that they didn't tell us when we were booking our spa services is that the steam room was out of service. So that was one of the main reasons we booked it. It was literally, you have unlimited access to the sauna and salt room when you have a spa appointment booked for that day. And we went in and they were like, oh, sorry. So we got there like 30 minutes early to literally just twiddle our thumbs because, well, there was nothing else to do in the spa. We stayed in the salt room for a little bit, which was my first time, and I don't know what it does for your body, but we stayed in the salt room for a couple of minutes. Overall, I would say that the Bungalows at Key Largo is a really exciting, really unique experience because it is an all-inclusive resort in the United States. So if you don't have a passport or you don't like to travel far, it is right here domestically. It's super convenient to get to, an hour and a half from Miami, or you could do the scenic route from Key West, which is 3 hours. I would say it's an amazing experience. You definitely get what you pay for here. And because you are paying so much, it is a really nice getaway if you have the money. However, if you do look at budget-friendly options, you can go to Mexico, stay at a resort that is pretty much the same tier with flights for probably about half the price that you're going to pay at the Bungalows at Key Largo. Or you can go on a cruise ship and upgrade to a more premium experience and probably be you can probably be like 70 to 80% of what you'd pay for Bungalows at Key Largo. So there's definitely tiers to luxury resorts, and I think Key Largo prices itself as a 5-star resort. I would say it's probably like 4.5 stars. It's basically there. It's just some little details that they faltered with. But let me know in the comments if you have been to Key Largo, what you think of my overview. I would say that this is an amazing one-time experience. Maybe you go back if you want to show your friends or family this, but I would say it's almost a one and done for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are still giving away a cruise for 4 people when we hit 10,000 subscribers, which is coming up. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.